Standing for truth and right in an age of affirming woke foolishness and blatant lies. By Danzel Monk Sr. It would be unwise and unfair, and quite irrational for me to think or act as if I were wonderful, spiritually mature, and sanctified, when if in truth I knew I was selfish, foolish, and spiritually rebellious. We love to hear messages from the pulpit and from our family and friends, and even from acquaintances or people we don't know that speak well of us, that say we are talented, lovely, handsome, etc. We love to be affirmed and to be told how important we are. Don't misunderstand me, such encouragement is important, in moderation, especially during moments when we are discouraged or depressed. But there seems to be a kind of spiritual epidemic in society in general, and unfortunately even in the visible church. An epidemic of ultra-dependency on human affirmation for negative conduct, and ultra-dependency on receiving positive compliments for deprived behavior. It has gotten so bad that now, telling someone the truth about themselves has become taboo. It is now not only politically incorrect, but culturally incorrect to do so, and in some cities it has even become illegal, punishable by fine or jail time to tell someone something about themselves that they do not want to hear. I am speaking of the pronoun madness that has taken hold in schools and colleges, businesses, and even government agencies, and that is promoted in media, entertainment, music, and politics. In our colleges and universities, where the best and brightest thinkers of our society goes to hash out their brilliant or not so brilliant ideas, and engage in intellectual battle to determine truth and discover the merits or value of new ideas, the kind of thinking that leads to major breakthroughs and classical creations, there has been a major shift in far too many places, from stable healthy dialogue and dispute, to a demand for intellectual acquiescence to the stupid of so-called woke ideas. On the university campus, both students and professors are protected from any and all negative comments that could cause them emotional discomfort, that could lead to depression or, God forbid, even suicide. They are now even trying to establish rules against the use of what they call trigger words, words that just by saying them in the presence of the wrong person can result in a strong emotional or traumatic reaction resulting in harm to the person. Yes, it is getting that crazy. The fact that this kind of reaction to a word would clearly indicate psychological instability is denied and frowned upon by the new breed of psychological experts who have taken over many of our universities and psychological institutions. As a result, stable people become subject to unstable people, and the patients take over the hospitals. This protection even extends to the imagination now, so that even my opinion about who and what I am, must be agreed with by others, or else they have committed a hostile act against me, against my self-worth and value. Self-identification is now the right of all people, that must be respected and shared by the public. If I say I am a woman when I am actually a biological male, you must agree with my new assessment of who I am, or suffer the consequences. Everyone who is woke, informed, or intelligent will agree with my fantasy. And those who refuse to accept who I am are mean, evil, uncaring, and must be silenced. This is the result of stable, moral people allowing unstable, immoral people to take over educational, political, religious, and judicial power in our society. We seem to have forgotten that just because someone seems to be intelligent, talented, or even articulate, does not automatically establish their mental stability. That error has cost our society dearly. And we now have many psychologically and emotionally unstable people making policy and passing laws that rule over the many who are stable people. In many places today, stable people are forbidden to tell irrational people that their arguments are illogical and not based on reality. And weak, cowardice, so-called Christians and Christian leaders have been the greatest culprits in helping these spiritually, psychologically, and in many cases, emotionally unstable people to take control. Mainly because many of these unstable people have maneuvered their way up the ranks of many churches, and now are the authority in many churches. And other church leaders, while not suffering from the woke sickness, are more interested in money and power than they are in truth and God's will. And so they are willing to go along with whoever seems to have the money and the power. This is a sad day we are living in, and it seems that things are going to get much worse as the biblical Christian church continues to fade out of society's leadership, replaced by a marriage between false or carnal Christians and political leaders who do not serve Jesus. Media and politician lies. Have you noticed how willing left media persons, Democrats, and Reno politicians are so willing to blatantly and repeatedly lie, knowing that their comments are being recorded and that millions or even billions of people will see and hear them lying? Have you ever wondered why they would so willingly tell lies that can easily be fact-checked and proven to be lies? If you have, I will address that question in a moment, but first let me give you some examples. Trump Derangement Syndrome, TDS. Yes, it is a real condition, and there are a lot of people who suffer from it. How often have you heard them say that Trump was a threat to democracy, Trump is dangerous, Trump is a dictator, Trump is a racist, Trump is unstable. Trump is bad for America and should never be allowed back in the White House. Trump wants to take away your freedom, Trump will use the government power against his political opponents. Yet anyone who was actually paying attention to what the Democrats, Reno politicians, and left news media people have been doing, they would know that they themselves were guilty of what they are constantly falsely accusing Trump of. That is the depth of audacity, hypocrisy, and disrespect for their listeners. But it's not just TDS. Mark Robinson, who is running for office, has brought a lawsuit against CNN for $50 million for election interference, in which he claims that CNN defamed him with false accusations. Social media giant Umla Ekpunobi has done an excellent job addressing the many lies of Kamala Harris, as has many others. Another giant in social media, Liz Wheeler, as has others, reports on the false statistics about the crime rate put out by the FBI and claimed by Harris and Biden. CBS was exposed several times for editing their interviews to favor Harris. It just goes on and on. If you want to get quality news, I would suggest that you avoid legacy media, and watch those I just mentioned above, and people like Matt Walsh, David Harris, Devin Gibson, Robert Gouveia ESQ, and podcasts like PBD Valuetainment. There are many others, so you don't have to put up with fake news. Above I asked if you wondered why they are so willing to lie to their viewers. The reason seems to be because they are paid to do so. They also seem to know that there will not be any consequences for doing so. Oh sure, intelligent people will stop watching them, and some of their ratings will suffer, but that is a price their networks and platform owners seem to be willing to pay to deceive the public. What is sad is that the public who are aware of the lies and don't appreciate them, do little or nothing to make their concerns known. Where are the demonstrations outside the CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, NBC, NPR, The View, Roland Martin, The New York Times, etc.? You see, our silence only emboldens them to continue their deceptions. And what about true Christians, those who truly love Jesus and are committed to His word? If that is you, does your relationship with Jesus allow you to ignore the madness and pretend that all is well? Or are you still determined to take a stand and speak the truth to a dying world? If so, just how are you fulfilling God's will for your life? Are you striving to be correct in your views and accurate in your comments about issues and events? Or are you carelessly contributing to the lies, deceptions, misinformation, and disinformation, by your unwillingness to carefully, prayerfully, and intelligently evaluate and substantiate before you proclaim and propagate? Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20 warns. Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness. In Matthew chapter 12 verses 35 to 37 Jesus said, A good man out of the good treasure of the heart brings forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. But I say unto you, that every idle word that men, people, shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. And in Matthew chapter 7 verses 15 to 16 he warned, Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. The Apostle Paul warns in Colossians chapter 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. And the Apostle Peter warns in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 17. Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness. Whether you are a biblical Christian, or just a decent person who wants to stand for what is right, remember that it is your obligation to make sure that the sources you rely on for information are reliable. And that you do your best to confirm information before you accept it and repeat it to others. With major elections upon us, we must make sure that we are being accurately informed about the candidates and the issues at stake, and we must then vote accordingly without fear of being rejected by our family, friends and acquaintances.